Good afternoon, guys. It is a great day to be in room 625. It is. And today we are going to begin dividing with decimals. Mainly, we're going to be working with decimals in the dividend. So you have our steps over here. Our main three steps are move the decimal up, divide like normal, and then if necessary, add zeros to the dividend. And you will see that this is just mainly plain this long division that you've already done. There's nothing really hard or new here besides moving a decimal up and adding a couple zeros if necessary. So let's look at example one. We have 43 and 629 thousandths divided by 3. And we're just going to go one step at a time. Can 3 go into 4? Yes. How many times? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. I subtract, I get 1. Bring down my 3. How many times does 3 go to 13? 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. I subtract, I get 1. Bring down my next number. Bring down my 6. 3 goes into 6 5 times. That's 15. I subtract, I get 1. Bring down my 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times. I multiply 3 times 4 is 12. I subtract, I get 0. I bring down my 9. And 3 goes into 9 3 times. That is 9. I subtract, I get 0. You will notice that I will continue to subtract continue to do this problem until I get my remainder or my bottom number here as 0. Now, the only thing I want to start off on the first problem like this to show you, this is just normal division. The only difference is from now on, I'm going to do it in the first step, but I want to show you at first that it's just normal division. It's all I have to do now is move the decimal point straight up, and that's my answer. 14 and 543 thousandths. So to recap, normal division. I didn't even address the decimal at first. That's how simple it is, or how similar it is the better word. I didn't address the decimal at first because I don't need to. It doesn't bother, it doesn't affect the problem at all. So I bring the decimal up, divide like normal. That's all I've got to do. Easy as that. Okay, now this one. I have 16 and 28 hundredths divided by 8. Step one, I'm going to do it first this time, move my decimal up. Once I do that, it is the same problems that we did last week. We did the very first week of school with long division. 8 can't go into 1, but it can go into 16 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. I subtract, I get 0. If you remember our steps, we talked about in the very first week of school, does McDonald's serve burgers? Divide, subtract, multiply, and bring down. Now it is time for me to bring down. And if you remember, I told you every time you bring a number down of your dividend, you have to put another number up in your answer. You have to put another number up in your quotient. You're not allowed to bring down multiple numbers in a row without putting a number up in your quotient. So I brought down my 2. Can 8 go into 2? No, it can't. That's okay. That just tells me I have to put a 0 up here. 0 times 8 is 0. I subtract, I get 2. Bring down my next number, which is 8. Now, can 8 go to 28? Yes, it can. It goes in there 3 times. 3 times 28, or 3 times 8 is 28. I subtract, I get 4. Oh, I mess it up. 3 times 8 is 24. I subtract, I get 4. If you notice with this problem, I did not get a 0 down here yet. I don't have a remainder of 0. I cannot leave this as a remainder. I can't write it as a fraction like we did before because my answer is already written as a decimal. I can't write an answer as a decimal and a fraction. I'm only allowed to have one and express one away. So if you are doing this and you get a number down here that is not 0, what you will have to do is you add a 0 up here in the dividend and you'll bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. And there's my answer. Okay. So to recap, if I bring a number down, I have to put another number in my quotient. I'm going to divide like normal until I get to the very bottom. If I get a 0 the very first time, good, I'm done. If I don't get a 0, if I have a leftover, if I have a remainder, I have to add a 0 back up in my quotient, like back up my dividend, and bring it down until it divides and I get my remainder of 0. So my goal for today is I have to get a 0 here. If I don't get a 0 here, I am not done. Okay, I have to do that. All right, let's do example number 3. We're gonna move over just a little bit so we can see it better. There we go, which we'll see that from there. I'm having 448.14 to 448 and 1400 divided by 7. So step 1, can 7 go into 4? It can. Can 7 go into 44? It can 6 times. 6 times 7 is 42. subtract, I get 2. And I was so excited, I forgot to do our very first step. I forgot to do what I told you to do before you do anything else. Before you start these problems, the very first thing I want you to do, if you can see me down here, the very first thing I want you to do is to bring this decimal straight up. I should have done that first, I apologize, but don't make the same mistake I did. Step 1, bring the decimal up. Step 2, divide. So to recap, 7 can't go into 4, so it goes into 44 6 times. 6 times 7 is 42. I subtract that 2. I bring down my 8. 7 goes into 28 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. I subtract, I get 0. I bring down my 1. 7 cannot go into 1. But if I bring a number down, I have to put another number up in my quotient. So 7 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0. I subtract, I get 1. I bring down my 4. 7 goes into 14 2 times. I subtract, and on this one, I get a 0 down here, so I know I'm done. So if I get a 0, I'm good. If I don't get a 0, that's when I add zeros. But to answer the question, 448 and 1400ths divided by 7 is 64 and 200ths. Okay. Let's move one last time. For example number 4, we have 4 and 326 thousandths divided by 8. Step 1, can 8 go into 4? No, it can't. Oh, I made my mistake again. I'm too excited. Before I do anything else, before I start, I should always make my decimal point straight up. Okay. 8 can't go into 4, so it goes in there 0 times. 8 goes into 43 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. I subtract, I get 3. I bring down my 2. 8 goes into 32 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. I subtract, I get 0. I bring down my 6. And remember, this I can see a lot of people making mistakes here. Every time I bring a number down, I have to put another number in my quotient. So 8 goes into 6 0 times. 0 times 8 is 0. I subtract, I get 6. If you notice, this is not a 0. I have to make this a 0. Or I can't not make it. I have to get this to where it equals 0. So I have no more numbers to bring down. If I have no more numbers to bring down, I'm going to add a 0 up my dividend, bring it down, and put it right there. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. I subtract, I get 4. And I have no more numbers to bring down. That's still not a 0, so I will have to add another 0. I will continue this process of adding zeros until I get a remainder of 0. Now 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. I subtract, and I get 0. So there are 4 examples of how to do long division with decimal in your dividend. Make sure you watch this video. So you have this point, but make sure you watch the other videos below this, the YouTube videos if you're still lost. Make sure you look at my notes if you have any questions, and make sure you do the assignment. If you don't do the assignment, you will receive a 0. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me either on Canvas or on via email. But besides that, make sure you show your work too. If you don't share your work, you'll receive 0 credit. I don't want just answers. You can do your answers all on paper, and then do all the work on paper, write your answers in Notability, and send me a picture of your work. Or you can do all of your work on Notability on your worksheet and send that to me. But if you send me just 6 answers and no work, you'll receive 0 points because I need to see your work. I need to see that you did it. And I need to see that you did use a calculator. Okay. Besides that, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.